Alright guys, I'm working on a Jayco. It's a 2021 Northpoint 377 RLBH. I plan on converting this thing from lead acid batteries to lithium. Easiest thing you can do to see, mine was built in 2020 and a half. It's labeled a 21 model, but it doesn't come with the switch inside the panel to convert it, to just push a button and make your converter charge the higher output that it needs. I can show you the switch that it needs. I just don't have it, so I have to change out my converter and then change my batteries over to lithium. I'm gonna make a video about that and try to make it short. I'm not gonna go over the reviews of the battery and the converter. I did find it on eBay for $100 or so cheaper than I found off of eTrailer. So just do some looking around and for your converter and get you one. And like I said, you can save yourself a little bit of money. I'll flip the camera around and show you what I'm talking about as far as the switch goes. Sorry for the low lighting in here. I had to disconnect my batteries. As you see right there where it says LI and LA, you can see two little terminals right there, like a S2 and a 1 terminal, and it says on it. Well, if you have the switch that you need, it'll be right there in that spot across those two terminals, and you'll be able to flip that switch from LA over to LI, and you can save yourself a couple $100 and swap to lithium. But I think, and from what I've read and researched, a lot of the 21s is hit and miss on whether they have it or not, and below that doesn't. So maybe if you got a newer coach, maybe you can maybe you will have the switch, and you just have to take the panel off, switch it over, and save yourself a couple $100. So now what I'm going to do is I'll show you with a screwdriver, and then I'll have to put the phone down because I'm not set up the video just yet. To change this converter out right here, this is the converter. This converter here charges out output voltage 13 volts at the most, and it charges your batteries back in the front of the coach. Well, this one here, and you can read the tag on it, it says for lithium use only. And the reason that is, it puts out a higher voltage. So pretty much looks the same from here to here, but just know that you can't, like I said, if you have that switch, you're good to go. If you don't, you're gonna have to buy a converter. So at this point, you want to disconnect the batteries, which I've done. I pulled it already pulled it out. You want to disconnect your coach from shore power, because this is a breaker box, and anytime you see breakers, that's AC. And anytime you see circuits with fuses and relays, like up here, that is DC. So you can get shocked if you leave the battery hooked up. 12 volts not going to be that bad. You come down here and you get popped by one of these breakers, because these wires come around here, and if you watch them, you've got a green comes in, ties over here on this bus, and you got a white comes over here and ties over on this bus, but you've also got right here, this is your power, comes out of that breaker. You got to have AC to feed this converter. This is what they call a converter. This converts the 120 volts AC down to, in my case now, it's going to be 14.5 volts to charge the lithium batteries. So I also have an inverter, which is underneath my coach in the storage, that takes the 12 volts from the battery, converts it to 100, I said converts, really should say inverts, to 120 volts AC to be able to run my refrigerator over here. I have a commercial fridge, not a commercial, residential fridge, and it runs off of straight AC power. And I have different outlets in here too that runs off of AC power. I'm not going into boondocking. I just need this to be able to keep my food cold while we're going down the road. Sometimes we take trips to Tennessee, anywhere like 8 to 10 hours. I need my refrigerator to work before I get the shore power. So the lead acid batteries are getting old, and I figured this is the time to go ahead and do it and change it all over. So I'm going to pull this out by disconnecting this wire and this wire. Disconnect this little pigtail at the harness, and then I'm gonna come out here. I'm gonna pull this wire, and this wire. And when I do that, then I should just have to unbolt it and pull the converter out. Alright guys, I removed the green from here, the white from here, and the black from this 20 amp breaker right here. If you follow it and look at it in the panel, it's going to tell you it's for the converter. This is your AC power. Disconnected those. This is where it converts it to DC power. I disconnected this, I disconnected the pigtail, took the 2 screws out of the side. This converter should slide right out now. And there we go. You can't really tell the difference in these converters. If you look at them side by side, they kind of look the same. Transformers look a little bigger on this one. I mean, it could, like I said, it's just stepping up voltage, and it's not that much more, but it's enough. So we have the old one out. Set it to the side. I'm gonna keep it just in case I decide to trade this thing in and my new one don't come with lithium capability. I'm gonna pull this back out, put lead acids back in it. Alright, so now it should be just plug and play. We'll slide this back up in here, and look at there. Back in its place. Screws are going to bolt up. See if we got enough wire here. Went down alongside this here and came through to keep it out of that fan. There's a little cut to right through there. Pull your wires over. Alright, that's gonna work. Alright, then we have the black and the white, and then a little pigtail that went here. So yes, we're gonna pause for a second. I'll hook all this up, mount it, and then I'll show you the finished product. And after that, we'll go put the battery in. Alright, I may have took a total of 10 minutes, and me doing it slow. 2 screws are back in, converter's bolted in its place. The DC outputs were back where they need to be, a little pigtail plug in, and then your AC was hooked up back to the breaker. I did flip the breaker, even though I disconnected from shore power. It's just a thing father-in-law taught me. Flip the breaker. I did check for power, there was nothing there. So, and these wires on this converter are kind of make it to where you can't. Like I said, the green was only long enough to go back to here. The white came over to here, and then the black was long enough to go into the breaker, which if you know anything about electricity, that's the way it hooks up. I'm gonna flip the breaker back on. I'm not gonna put power back on it yet. I'm not gonna put the cover back on it yet. I'm just gonna go out there and hook my batteries up. And once I get the batteries hooked up, I'll show you the whole thing, and then I'll put the power back to it, and we'll flip the breaker at the same time. And then we'll check the inverter, because I do have an inverter status up here on the wall that tells me what kind of battery voltage I have and what I'm running on and all that stuff like that. So we'll check all that and make sure it's good to go, and then put the panel back on. I don't know if you've ever messed with lithium, but this is a Group 31. It's 12 volt, 100 amp hour battery. I bought it off of one of the Facebook sites. Got it out of Houston, shipped to me next day. Guy at work that fishes with these batteries, and he raves about them, and they are just so light. Group 31's got to be close to over 100 pounds. This can't be more than 25 pounds. I'm gonna go put this in over here. Cuts down on weight, which I'm not really concerned about weight because I do have a dually. But we're gonna go ahead and hook this up and give it a test. All right, I got my battery in, got it hooked up. Had 2 wires on my positive, 2 on my negative. Had my breaker stripped. That just keeps you from feeding battery power to the coach while you're working on it. Doesn't stop you from arcing from battery to. So always make sure you take your negative off first before you mess with the positive, so you don't ground out your wrench to the frame or anything like that. I'll go ahead and reset these breakers and go inside and see what we have as far as power goes. Alright, I got a little green light right here on my circuit panel. My BM Pro is rebooting, but I do have my switches down here. Alright, I have power in the coach. Bright lights, brighter than before. Alright, I'm at you can see this is the Xantrex. This is the inverter outside. It's putting out 12.9 battery volts right now, and it's running on the converter. So the refrigerator is back on. So then you'll change my filter. All right, and like I said, I can't tell my converter's working yet because I don't know if it's low enough to charge the battery. But I'm just gonna go and put it back on shore power and see how it reacts. Stay tuned. All right, guys, as you can see, I swapped back over. I'm back on shore power now, which is what this means. It's on the bypass. This is the inverter. It's on the bypass now. I'm having 110 volts with 60 hertz. So I'm back on the shore power instead of the inverter. So that we will look to see if it charges. The battery's at 13.4 volts, and it says no on the batteries because you're running straight to there. So this converter, like I said, this converts the shore power, the 115 volts AC, to battery voltage to charge my lithium batteries. And then we have the Xantrex inverter, which is underneath my coach in the storage, that takes the 12 volt battery power and inverts it to 120 volts to run my refrigerator. And the lithiums have better run time. They don't power down until they just turn off. So you'll be running full power until it just turns off. And like I said, one battery on the lithium takes the place of two of those Group 27s, and it's almost about the same cost by the time you buy two new Group 27s. The only expense I incurred was buying the lithium charger. Like I said, on the Jayco northpoint, if you have a 2022 or better, chances are you have that switch, and you don't have to incur that expense. So just something to think about whenever your batteries go dead on you.